If, like me, you're neurodivergent and you have spent most of your life masking, you are probably wondering, where do I start with unmasking? That is something I'm wondering too. Today we're talking about unmasking, what masking is, ways in which we mask, and I'm also going to be telling you a few things I've been doing recently to kind of lead me towards unmasking, even though I'm not really sure how to do it yet. I'm hoping that we can share tips and ideas with each other that will help whoever's watching this video or whoever reads the comments, help each other to understand what unmasking means for you and how maybe your tips could help someone else to unmask. Some of you will be further along on this journey than I am myself and than other people watching this video. If you've had anything that's really helped you, I'd love it if you could share it with myself and with others. I think when it comes to unmasking, it can be really overwhelming. Sometimes, like I know myself, although I'm trying to head in the right direction, I don't really know where to start properly. So your tips would be so helpful. Okay, so quick introduction if you're new to my videos. I'm Kath. I was diagnosed with ADHD last year and I was diagnosed as autistic about 3 weeks ago. I have been masking for my whole life and I'm 41 now, so it's been quite a while. I'm trying to learn how to unmask, as maybe you are yourself, and you may know someone or love someone who is also going through this process. Maybe they've been late diagnosed or early diagnosed with ADHD or autism, but masking is something that is a lot of us do. A lot of us neurodivergent people do it. So technically, masking it's almost like putting on a front to be able to fit in a social situation or a situation where we feel out of place. Studies have shown that masking is more common in females than it is in males, and that's because females have more of a drive to be more socially accepted. That doesn't mean that males don't mask, because of course they do. And it doesn't mean that males don't want to fit in society, because again, of course they do. So growing up especially, it is very common to want to fit in with each other, with your peers and with your friends. And when you feel like an outsider, it can feel so uncomfortable. Personally now, I'm not that bothered about fitting in. I'm kind of glad to be different, but growing up, I really wanted to fit in. When it comes to masking, it could be things like eye contact is a way that neurodivergent people mask. It doesn't always come naturally to us to give eye contact. And I can remember myself when I was a teenager, like a young teenager, I was so shy and I really wanted to feel less shy. And I would watch other people and what they did. And one thing I noticed was they would give eye contact. So I taught myself how to give eye contact. Now, I'll be honest, I thought I was quite okay at eye contact, but when I did my autism assessment, I was talking to her about eye contact thinking like, I thought she was going to say, yeah, you're quite good at eye contact, but she actually said that my eye contact was very disconnected, which made me realise that even in my own mind, I thought I'd become good at eye contact. I'm actually not as it just doesn't come naturally to me, and I think about it a lot. And when I'm having a conversation, if I'm thinking about eye contact, I feel more awkward. And I think many of us neurodivergent people, we're very conscious of eye contact. We think about it a lot during a conversation and think, am I giving too much eye contact? Am I not giving enough? And even thinking about it is not like a natural way of being, because a lot of neurotypical people don't even think about eye contact. It just happens. So eye contact is one way in which we mask. One thing I will add is when I'm feeling particularly vulnerable, like if I'm having a vulnerable conversation with someone, especially if I feel like there's an element of, I've got abandonment issues from my childhood, and especially if it's kind of relating to that, I really struggle with eye contact. So if I'm talking to someone and it's a situation like that, I will often look in the other direction while I'm speaking. Again, I know many of us do that, and it can help you to process your thoughts and know what to say while you're not directly looking at someone, because it kind of takes the pressure off. That's something that has brought up a few like things with me and my husband. For example, he will if we've been having like a difficult time and talking about things, he will sometimes think that why wouldn't she look at me? And it's not the whole time I can look at him while we're talking, but it's during certain subjects that I feel like I have to look away while I say certain things, otherwise I can't say it's like it doesn't come to me. So yeah, when I'm feeling more vulnerable, I do tend to look away when it comes to eye contact. Another way, when I think back to my childhood, another way of masking, I'm just trying to think of things because I can't think of that many things. I used to try and use words that, like new words that people were using, and if I thought, oh, I like the sound of that word, it sounds really cringy, but like trendy words, I would try and I'd start saying them myself, but whenever I'd say them, it felt awkward and it felt cringy, and I would think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And then I feel like, do other people know that I feel awkward about this? So that's something that I would do when I was younger. I don't do that at all now, because I just feel too awkward about it. But I'm just trying to think of ways that I can actually remember masking when I was younger or now. And I can't think of any other ways in which I mask. I know that I do mask in other ways. I know that I do, but I don't know what those ways are. I can't tell. There are some more like general situations where there's certain people in my life I feel like I can't be myself around. So I know I'm masking with them, but in some ways I can kind of tell that I'm holding my whole personality, I'm holding parts of my personality back because I probably feel like I wouldn't be accepted by them. That's the only thing I can tell. There's probably a lot of other ways in which I'm masking around those people, but I don't know what they are. So there's just some examples of masking. Personally, I am trying to unmask, because from what I can understand and things I've read, masking takes a huge toll on neurodivergent people. It can affect our mental health. It can cause anxiety, depression. It can dysregulate our nervous system. And I think there's something about, if you're not being true to yourself, you're never going to feel comfortable in your own skin. And I think it's really important to be able to, if you feel safe to do that, to be able to get to that point. And that is something that I really want to be able to do. And I'm sure that so many of you want to be able to do that as well. It's just, how do we get there? It seems like it seems quite mysterious. Like, if you don't know how you're masking, how do you know how to unmask? I am now going to tell you about a few things I've done that, mainly since I've had my full diagnosis of ADHD, but also some things that I was starting to do just before then as well. Torme ag fólam gwilga. That means I'm learning Irish in Irish. I have been connected to Ireland since I was little, and I'm going to say that it is a special interest of mine. So just a little bit of background knowledge. When I was really young, since I was really young, I've always felt like Ireland was home. At the time, I had an Irish surname, and the reason I'm saying had now is because I'm married, and yeah, so my maiden name is Irish. And I didn't know that when I was young, but I always felt connected to Ireland. I'm learning Irish because my great-granddad spoke Irish, my ancestors spoke Irish, and I now know that I don't know what, it's like I knew it all along. I've known it all my life, that Ireland was in me. So when, about 8 years ago, I did a heritage DNA test, and I am mostly Irish. I've got no English DNA at all. I've got like a lot of Celtic DNA. I've got mainly Irish. I've got a bit of Scottish, bit of Welsh, I've got Scandinavian and Native American, but the larger percentage of my DNA is Irish, and that makes complete sense to me as to why I've always felt so connected to Ireland. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you can tell by my accent, I don't actually live in Ireland, I live in the UK, but Ireland it feels like home in my heart, if that makes sense. I've been learning Irish and I wanted to do this for years, so it's almost like I was kind of like, when I go on holiday, like if I'm going to a Spanish country or a Greek country or whatever, I will learn the basics of a language just because I want to, be polite and just, know how to say please and thank you and things like that. So I've always kind of done that, but I've always had this urge to learn the Irish language, and I kind of thought, does anyone speak Irish now? And I know obviously people do speak Irish. It's kind of coming back again, even though it was obviously there originally, and then now most people do speak English, but the Irish language, a lot of people in Ireland do still speak Irish, and I think, why would I not want to learn the language of my ancestors? So since I've had my autism diagnosis, I knew how important it was for me to learn how to unmask. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do the things that are in my heart, the things that I've wanted to do, I'm going to start doing them. So I've started learning Irish, and to be honest, it's coming really easily to me. I don't know if I said it right then, but I'm learning, so that's fine. I'm learning a little bit every day and I'm really enjoying it. So that's one thing I'm doing. I have been interested in drums for years now, and I've kind of thought, like, I'm a mum, I'm like 41-year-old mum. I've thought to myself, I've always, when I'm listening to music, I'm kind of like drum along to it with my hands, and I've always thought, I feel like I'd be good at drumming, and I just like the idea of drums and stuff. So I didn't really do anything about it because I thought, I don't know, I haven't got any drums, and also if I wouldn't want drums in the house because it would be loud. It sounds a bit contradictory, but I don't necessarily want to want a drum kit in the house or anything, because I just think if I was playing it, that would be fine, but if anyone else played it, I feel like it would be too loud. But I've just been interested in drums, but I didn't do anything about it. So again, after my autism diagnosis and this kind of thought of leading towards unmasking, and I thought, I'm going to start looking into if there's any drumming lessons or anything like that. And it's not that I want to join a band or anything, I just wanted to have a go. So I started looking on Google and stuff for drumming lessons, and just having a quick look, I didn't find anything specific. But then last week, a thing came up on Facebook, and it was for a shamanic drumming session. And I thought, and it was where I live, and I thought, I'm going to do it. It just felt like, yeah, all right, I know your phone brings up things that you've been looking into and stuff, but it also felt like a bit of a sign, right? Let's do it. It's nearby, I'm going to try it. And then I was thinking about it. Because I'm very connected to my ancestors and things like that, and the shamanic drumming is a very rich part of Celtic history and Viking history and Native American history as well, that it's just connected to all parts of my DNA. So I thought, I'm gonna try it. So I took my daughter with me, and we went to this shamanic drumming healing session, and do you know what, it was really interesting. It was I don't think it was quite what I expected it to be. It was quite therapeutic. It wasn't so much about music, which I didn't think it would be. It was more about sound healing and things like that. And it was very very spiritual, very tribal feeling, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So I just thought, I was just glad to do that, just to try it. I'm not gonna lie, when I booked it, it was my ADHD that booked it. I felt impulsive. I was yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then when I was there, I was feeling very autistic. I felt because it was a new situation and because it was people I hadn't met before and I hadn't done it before and I didn't know what to expect, I felt really like, I'm not going to say not uncomfortable, but I felt awkward, and there was like no sign of my ADHD there at all. I felt very much like in autistic mode, but I'm still glad I did it. The reason I'm telling you these things is because although I'm not saying it's not necessarily unmasking specifically, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to follow my intuition to kind of lead me to unmasking, if that makes sense. So I'm doing the things that I'm interested in, the things that are in my heart, and trying to be more myself. So instead of denying those things and thinking, oh, I'll do it one day, or I'd love to try that, but what will people think? I'm just doing those things because they are hopefully going to lead me to like my true original self. So that's another thing I'm doing. I'm listening to my instinct, my gut instinct. And I've been doing this for a while now, but even more so since my diagnosis, I'm really listening to like, how do I feel about this? What is my body telling me? I always do this anyway with regards to, like, even when I eat certain foods, I'll notice how those foods make me feel. And I'm trying to really pay attention to things like that. And I think that this is my way of kind of leading towards unmasking. Another very small way in which I'm unmasking, or small or big, however you look at it, is like today, for example, my hair's curly. It's not, my hair's naturally curly. So for me, for a long time, when I was younger, like I'm a millennial, and if like me, if you're around a similar age to me, or you know, older, you might remember when the very first hair straighteners came out, the Babyliss ones where you had to put water in the thing. They were a bit like an iron and steam came out. I remember when hair straighteners came out, and I suppose at the time that was even like I wanted to have straight hair and like my friends and straighten my hair. And then over the years, that's a way of masking as well, like trying to like have things similar to other people, like similar hair and stuff. Over the years, I straightened my hair that much that I didn't know how to have it curly, if that makes sense, because I have frazzled it a bit over the years, which is something that I kind of wish I'd embraced my curls. And yeah, I'm not going to have it curly every day because it's not always practical for me, but I thought, do you know what, it's summer, why shouldn't I embrace my real hair? Like, I have got bleach in my hair, but apart, like, why shouldn't I embrace my curls? They're natural for me, and it's kind of, again, part of me being my true self. It's not always going to be practical. Like in the winter, I probably won't have my hair curly in the winter. It just dries quicker in the summer. And to be honest, I've not really learned how to look after my hair while it's curly properly. So that's just like a little something that I'm trying to do a little bit more often while it's summer. Another thing I'm doing since getting my ADHD diagnosis is speaking up more about what I want with regards to what makes me feel comfortable and things like that. As a mum and as someone, I had to grow up very fast. I had to be independent from a young age. So I've kind of always learned to push through and get on with things. And yeah, and while I still do that to an extent, I'm starting to speak up a little bit more. So for example, I have moments when I'm feeling completely overwhelmed and I don't want to speak to anyone, and I don't want anyone to speak to me, and I just need quiet. So I've started saying that now. Like if I'm in one of those moments where I'm feeling so overwhelmed, I'm just telling my husband and my daughters, like, listen, I just need a bit of time on my own. Or sometimes I would go and sit in the car on my own because it was just quieter and things like that. And then they'd be wondering why I'm out there for so long. But instead, I'm in the house now and I'm doing it. I'm like, I just need a little bit of time to myself. I am also speaking up about things where I used to would have pushed through or maybe people pleased. So I'll give you an example. Recently, my husband had been, me and my husband, like, one of his friends had said, do you want to come to this place, like this event with him and his wife? And I love going out with them. They're fun, we always have a good time and they're really nice and everything. But this particular event was in a place where there was a few different reasons why I didn't think I'd be comfortable there. And one was because it was at a race course. And for me personally, like, in the past, before I knew any different, I have been to the Grand National, for example, and things like that. Now I wouldn't go there. And the event itself wasn't to do with horse racing, but it was held in the race ground on the evening of a race day. That straight away made me feel uncomfortable, because not that the event was directly contributing to the race or anything. I just personally, for my own morals about that situation, straight away, that made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Well, a lot uncomfortable. I was even slightly going to push past it and think, right, do you know what? It's not actually to do with the racing. It just happens to be there, kind of thing. But then the more I thought about it, I just wasn't sure. There was a few other factors that came into it. I wasn't sure whether, like, the weather was going to be really hot, which made me feel uncomfortable, because I thought I can handle the heat on holiday. Like, you know, if you've got a swimming pool or the sea to go in to cool down, I can handle it. But as you know, if you live in the UK or Ireland, we don't have aircon, and when it's hot, and it's like so humid, and it's just but you might be getting ready for a night out and you just sweat your makeup back off and feel sweaty, and it's just, I felt uncomfortable about that. I wasn't sure exactly about the music, and obviously I don't drink either, so I was thinking, what if I go there and I'm feeling like, if I go there and then I start feeling uncomfortable because I'm at a race ground, and what if there's if a race ends up going on later, and I just wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. I wouldn't want to be around that. I'd be worrying about the horses and just loads of different things. And at one point I was going to try and push past that, and then I said to my husband, I was like, I really, you know, I'll go out with them on another day to somewhere else, because I do want to go out with them. They're like, we always have fun and everything, but I just can't go to that event because it just doesn't feel right for me. And I feel like there was a part of me that was going to do it, and I'm glad that I kind of spoke up about it. And my husband knew when he suggested, when he kind of told me that they'd said, you know, do you want to come? He knew anyway roughly how I would feel about it, but he just asked me anyway, because it was in the evening. It wasn't necessarily like it wasn't going to watch the racing or anything like that, but he just thought he'd mention it to me. But I am glad that I spoke up about it, because I wouldn't have felt comfortable there, and I also wouldn't want to go there and be the one to be like, to feel like I was ruining the night either. So like feeling like I got there and then I would need to just go straight away, or feeling like, right, I don't feel comfortable, I need to go. So it was a good idea that I spoke up about that. So I'm trying to do that more often. I'm trying to make sure that, like, I know what kind of situations I will feel comfortable in and which ones I won't. So that's really important as well. So if you are yourself struggling with things like that, it can come down to people pleasing as well, because I spent most of my life being a people pleaser, and it's only been these last few years that I'm learning not to be. So I think that's really important. I hope this video has been helpful. What I would love is if you could put your unmasking tips in the comments. That would be so helpful for me and for other people watching this video, because I feel like it's a journey we have to go on, and it's not an easy journey either. Learning how to unmask when you don't know how you're masking it's quite tricky. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how ways in which you've unmasked, and it might inspire me to unmask in those ways, or other people, or it might get people to look at different areas of their life where they could potentially be masking. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. I've got loads of other videos about ADHD, autism and coping with different things, and also parenting children who are neurodivergent. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.